If a planet falls to Tyranids, it usually wasn't eaten. It was handed over from inside, and it all starts with one blessing from a gene stealer. Here's the part nobody tells you. One kiss from a gene stealer can spin up 4 generations of hybrids, a street-level religion, and a city that begs to be conquered. They don't storm the gates, they get the keys. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the exact playbook, how a cult forms, spreads through families and unions, and times a day of ascension with a hive fleet. This isn't rumor. It's pulled from official sources like Codex, Genestealer Cults, Codex, Tyranids, Vigilus Defiant, and Necromunda, Book of Ruin. By the end, you'll know who really runs a cult: Patriarch, Magus, Primus, the tricks that cancel battles before they even start, and the quiet tells that mean a world is already lost. Stay with me for the one pattern Imperial investigators dread. It's subtle. It shows up right before the uprising. Let's pull back the grate and see how the invasion really starts. But before we go further, if you're into these deep dives, hit like and subscribe. It tells me to keep digging into the darkest corners of the 41st millennium. Night shift on a factory catwalk. One worker pauses. Something watches from the dark. There's no roar, just a hand, a grip, and the Genestealer kiss that changes everything. After, the sink water runs long. 2 tiny marks behind the ear. No witnesses. They go home. The hug at the door lingers. A scrap metal charm of a 4-armed saint hangs on a nail. Next day, they're back on shift. Same foreman, same jokes. Only the eyes hold a new glassy focus. In a fogged mirror, a faint ridge under the hairline. Easy to miss, impossible to unsee. Sleep won't come. The air hums like a power line. The brood mind whispers behind the walls. Under the streets, candles gutter around a crude idol. Something ancient and hungry sits just out of the light. At dinner, the child slides over a drawing of a saint with 4 arms. The room gets very quiet. Down a clinic corridor, the bassinets are still. One newborn's brow carries the slightest ridge. The cycle has begun. The Genestealer cults are unstoppable. Here's why. They're like a virus that spreads through the host's bloodstream, except instead of blood, it's generations. Generation 1, obvious hybrids. Ridges, talons, sometimes an extra limb. They're fanatical, but they keep to the shadows. Generation 2, still alien, but they can pass at a distance. With work gloves and long sleeves, they hide their ridges and their tails. Generation 3, mostly human at a glance. Maybe the eyes reflect a touch too much. Maybe the hairline sits a little too perfect over a ridge. These are your fixers, clerks, foremen, quartermasters. Generation 4, they blend in completely. They run shops, they file permits, they raise families, and no one notices. And here's the twist. Some 4th-gen births produce new, pure-strain gene stealers. So one kiss from a gene stealer becomes a family tree, then a neighborhood, then a movement. It grows at the dinner table, not the battlefield. Around 3rd or 4th gen, a Magus usually appears, a charismatic psyker who gives the brood a voice, a myth, and a calendar. Meanwhile, the rough work is handled by hybrids who still look a bit off, the acolytes and their heavier cousins, while the near-humans grease the system. This isn't headcanon, it's laid out in Codex, Genestealer Cults. Each generation looks more human, and the line can loop back when a pure strain is born. Why it works? Later generations can hold real jobs. Port Authority, Vox Maintenance, PDF Logistics. When the uprising starts, the system collapses on cue. If you're an Imperial investigator, the early warning signs are subtle. A birth spike in one district, miracle logistics fixes, and a soft-spoken preacher filling every hall. That's the generational machine. Once a pure strain returns, the clock resets and the brood gets louder without showing its face. Every brood has a chain of command, and it always starts with the Patriarch. The Patriarch is a swollen, psychic predator, an ancient gene stealer who grows stronger the more it's worshipped. It doesn't give orders in words, it simply is, and the cult obeys. At its side stands the Magus, a charismatic psyker, the silver tongue of the brood. The Magus turns instinct into sermons, faith and schedules. To the workers, the Magus is a prophet of salvation. Then there's the Primus. If the Magus is the voice, the Primus is the knife. Surgical, precise, the one who maps ambushes, times uprisings and makes sure the right man dies on the right day. Around them a circle of specialists, the Icon Ward, who carries relics and banners that turn mobs into believers. The Clamavus, master of vox and propaganda, broadcasting hymns through the static. The Nexos, hunched over maps and hollows, tracking enemy patrols and safe routes. The Sanctus, a shadowed assassin, one shot, one kill, before the target ever knows they were marked. The Biophagus, twisting biology in underground labs, while the hulking aberrants swing power hammers within human force. And sometimes, the mythic Kellamorph, a gunslinger who strikes from nowhere, leaving legends in his wake. Finally, the mass of the cult, the acolytes and neophytes. These are the workers and miners, the ones who look human enough to pass until the banners are raised. This structure is why Genestealer cults don't just survive, they expand. The Patriarch is the spine, the Magus the voice, the Primus the blade, and every other role makes sure the uprising doesn't just happen, it succeeds. Every Genestealer cult runs the same playbook. Step 1, infiltrate where trust already lives. Unions, guilds, the people everyone relies on. Step 2, solve their problems. Broken shipments show up on time, shortages vanish, foremen who push too hard suddenly transfer off-world. The cult feels like the good guys. Step 3, switch on the faith. Sermons about the four-armed emperor, whispered prayers before shifts. It doesn't sound dangerous until whole crews start showing up at shrines instead of work. Step 4, sabotage. Void shields go down for maintenance. Traffic control software gets an upgrade. Ammo crates get miscounted. The city still runs, but it's on borrowed time. Step 5, the day of ascension. What looks like a strike or a protest turns into an uprising, all perfectly timed. By the time the sirens wail, the cult already owns the streets. That's the playbook, simple, repeatable, terrifyingly effective. And every Imperial commander fears the one twist, the reason a world can already be doomed before the first shot is fired. Here's the part that commanders dread. The first contact on your world might not be a hive fleet in orbit. It might be the baby born last night in Hab Block 7. One family tree can topple an entire city, and one city can call down a hive fleet. That's why by the time investigators notice the signs, it's usually already too late. Let me ask you, what do you think is scarier? The hive ships blotting out the sky, or the idea that your neighbors were planning to hand the planet over the whole time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of the Genestealers cult, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps more than you know, and it means I'll keep bringing you the darkest stories from the 41st millennium.